So I said yesterday over on the Ink Slasher channel that I would make this video today, which was my, after we've thought about it, more thought out, more raw opinions on this. So this is the community update that came out kind of late last night, which was rather strange for like a Friday night, just randomly releasing this after essentially this probably should have been put out like in the middle of Christmas break, which of course they can't do, which is part of the issue here. Part of the issue is every single year Call of Duty is released and then they go on Christmas break. There's a bunch of things broken, they can't be fixed, and then they don't get fixed. And essentially this blog post came out last night, which was going over these things. These are the main things that they addressed, which include cheating and bans, the ability to disable crossplay in certain modes, server issues, which personally to me is the biggest one, and then the quality of life updates and then requested bug fixes. So but for this video, the requested bug fixes and quality of life we'll come back to later on in a little bit. But the cheating, bans, and server issues, this stuff is a problem every single year. I don't know if you know this, but literally every single year, except for really last year, it has been a big problem, and there's proof of it. In fact, if we go to Charlie Intel's Twitter, this might be my favorite thread in a while, because he put this out, and I want to read these to you and then put the dates behind them. So on January 13th, seem familiar, 2022, a message to our community. We wanted to take a minute to talk about fixing the game. We hear you and we feel your frustration. Our teams are hard at work addressing the issues that are being experienced across Vanguard, Warzone, and Modern Warfare. Updates are being deployed as quickly as possible. We want everyone to have a seamless experience no matter which game mode, or platform you play on. Your feedback is a critical part of our development process to make our games the best they can be. Stay posted for real-time updates, and for the most frequent ones, make sure you're following Raven Software, Sledgehammer Games, Infinity Ward, and Treyarch. An apology. So this came on January 13th, 2022. Now, yesterday was January, when was it, 17th, 2025? Now, let's fast forward a year and over to January 18th, 2023. Season 2 will be launching on February 15th. Stay tuned for additional intel. It says, Season 2 will be launching on February 15th. Our studio teams have been making several changes based on what we have heard from our player community. Season 2 includes all new content with the return of Resurgence and brand new small map for Warzone 2.0. Ranked is also back and coming to Modern Warfare 2, along with new multiplayer maps, new modes, weapons, and much more. Stay tuned for additional intel. Now, Modern Warfare 3, we skipped a year. We skipped a year and we did good, and they actually improved things for once. But then we get yesterday. Once again, 2025, nearly almost exactly 2 years after they did it with Modern Warfare 2. So needless to say, this is something that happens almost every single year, that an apology is put out right after Christmas saying we're working on our game, we're trying to fix all of the issues, blah, 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 blah. So it brings us back to what we were given yesterday with the community update. Can we trust this? Now, I think at this point, we have the right to have kind of trust issues here. When they say that they're coming out and fixing all of these things, it's a massive, massive problem, because in this last 2 months, we have been gaslit with things like AI, with things like the erroneous blood. I don't know if you remember that one, but essentially what happened there is their servers suck. So you were shooting at someone and blood would just splatter everywhere, but you wouldn't get hit markers, you wouldn't deal any damage, all of this stuff. And then it was erroneous blood. It was our fault somehow. And they didn't mention that their servers suck. No, none of that. And honestly, I do feel like a big part of this blog post is very disingenuous. Like, I feel like a lot of the things that they've admitted that they didn't do properly, like the kernel level drivers for Ricochet, straight up saying we screwed them up. Like, we shit the bed on this one. But then when they come in and say over 136,000 ranked play account bans since the mode launched, like, dude, let's actually like come here. think about this for a sec. If there were that many people who could get on and hack that you had to ban 136,000 people, when currently, like, keep in mind, most of these are probably through Steam, when most of them, like, our peak players right now are like 50,000 to 90,000, you're like most of the people are hacking at this point. Shouldn't you be saying, we have screwed up so much that this many people were able to get on and hack? Isn't that the problem to begin with? You shouldn't be proud that you banned that many people. You should be disappointed in yourself that many people could get on and be banned to begin with. So there's that. Like, there's like little things that they have pointed out, like, we did this. Like, look, this is what we did. When, like, you should be disappointed with what you did to begin with. So there was that. And then the one that really bothered me, and I talked about this on the main channel yesterday, is this. Like, this section just, like, made me mad. Like the rubber banding, the packet loss, all of this stuff. Nowhere in there do they say anything about, like, listen, PC players, we understand that this game is so poorly optimized that we have essentially given someone a job that is going in and fixing streamers' computers to just be optimized to play Call of Duty and nothing else, and that our game is so bad. No other game out there. Fortnite, no. Valorant, no. Marvel Rivals, all of these games that are on CS:GO, no. You don't need someone to come and be an aerospace engineer and fix people's. If you guys don't believe me, there's a guy. Look him up. Art is War. It's either Art of War. No, it's Art is War. And his job, he quit being an aerospace engineer to work on streamers' computers, to optimize their computers to play Call of Duty. You did not hear me wrong. That's how poorly optimized Call of Duty is. That's why I get all this packet loss when I play. That's why the erroneous blood is really a thing. Now, it does happen on console too, but for you console players, I understand why you play on console still. It's legitimately an issue, and I've considered going back and playing on PS5. It's just way easier for me to record and stream on PC. So there's that. And then, like, there's just, like, various other things that they just don't admit to problems. Now, the one other thing that we have to talk about, the one other thing that we have to like bring up here is Warzone. So they basically said that they are more so focused on fixing the game than they are on putting out new content for season 2, which I'm gonna pull something up here for a second. So the reason why I'm titling this video the way that I am, and we still may watch this if you guys want to see me watch this video in the future, we might, but it's J God's video. He said, I thought this was perfect. He said season 2 is huge but different than we were expecting, and then he says trust issues here. I think that's like kind of like the biggest point of this. The trust issues thing is absolutely a massive thing when it comes to all of this. Now the other thing that I was going to pull up, and we might watch these videos in the coming days. If you want me to watch any of these videos or ever have recommendations, feel free to write them down in the comments. But Who's Immortal, our friend Zach, put out a video. Here it is right here. And it says, Call of Duty just delayed some big season 2 updates. Good news. Like, he called it good news, and I understand why he is, because again, going back to those patch notes, they're prioritizing fixing the game rather than putting out new content. The problem is let me actually ask you guys this, because I think this is a good question for you. Is fixing the game, they're not going to fix the servers. I just don't believe that one. That's where the trust issues come in. They're not going to fix the servers, but fixing hackers, fixing quality of life improvements, fixing the movement, speeding up the game a little bit, making the game feel better. Is that enough to bring you back to the game? Or do you need something new? Do you need a whole refresh of like a new mode, a new map, a new something to bring you back to the game? Or is just fixing the game enough to bring you back? I've seen both comments on my previous videos, and it's a question I really don't know how I feel about. Like, I really don't. But the one thing that I will say is it good that they're fixing the game? Yes. Is it good that this transparency came out like this right here? Is it good that this was released? Absolutely. And here's what I will say. Pick a day, like by Activision, Ricochet, Anti-Cheat, Treyarch, and Raven Software, Beanox, and Demonware. So these patch notes are by a bunch of people. Pick a day, any day of the month, let's call it the 17th because that's when you release this one, or every third Friday of a month, put out one of these, put out a community update once a month, just like this. Admit when you've done things wrong, admit when you've done things right, because they've tried to do that with the COD podcast, but that's slowly just become like a, hey, look, we're putting out more bundles like they do with everything. Do this, one of these, just one of these monthly, once a month. And I think that would go a very long way. Like, tell us that the community is being heard. Tell us how you're fixing it. Tell us where you went wrong. That is the most important thing, I think. And you know what? I think you'll find, yeah, there's going to be people that dump all over you for it, but there's things here that weren't covered, right? And this is where the more of the trust issues come in. Through this, did they mention AI? No. Did they mention skill-based matchmaking? No. Did they mention data requests for skill-based matchmaking? No. There's things that weren't mentioned, and they should be. They should be. One of the first things that Sledgehammer did during Modern Warfare 3, and one of the reasons why they didn't have to put one of these out, is they went on Reddit and they did an AMA where you could ask any questions. And everyone left questions about skill-based matchmaking. Everyone. Like, the entire thing was skill-based matchmaking. And it was about 2 or 3 weeks later, I want to say. I don't know the exact dates, but it was about 2 or 3 weeks later where they put out a post and they said, listen, we saw all of the things that you wrote about skill-based matchmaking. We want to answer you, but we're going to have to put something together for it. In other words, we're going to need legal to look at it. They should have just said that, but they didn't. And eventually, they actually put out a post months later. So I can only give them some credit, but months later, about what skill-based matchmaking is, how it worked. And it was the first look that we had at it. And we've talked about skill-based matchmaking so much on this channel. I saw the comments on the last video of people being like, enough with the skill-based matchmaking, leave it alone for a little bit. We'll leave it alone. But it's these things, right? And like, man, 3 of the last 4 years we've had these. Like, literally 3 of the last 4 years we've had these like sort of blog posts. 3 of the last 4 years. 3 of them. 3 of the last 4 years. Like, when do we get to the point where it's like, here it comes, same time next year, we're going to have the same thing, same time next year. So this may be our last community update until January 18th, 2026. We'll see though.